MotoGP heads over to Argentina for round 2 of the 2025 campaign. We are back to the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit, and it's time for the final free practice session before qualifying gets underway. Hello everybody, welcome into the free practice 2 session, 30 minutes ahead of us then for the riders to get used to this circuit where at the moment ground temperature at 23 degrees, air temperature at 19 degrees Celsius. It's a little bit chilly, so tyre compounds are going to be critical in this session, so is the aerodynamics, and fingers crossed we're going to be in for an unpredictable qualification. That's coming up shortly as well. It really is one of these days where we have no idea what could happen at the front in terms of, is Ducati this good in this cooler condition? We haven't run yet in cool conditions all season long. Even in Buriram, the temperature was hot enough, the same at Sepang. So it's a little bit of a relative unknown. Let's hope that Aprilia can close the gap. We saw signs yesterday that a few teams were at the front again. Honda seemed to be good, and the fact that nobody's run here in a couple of seasons has opened up the pecking order slightly, but it's still predicted Marc Marquez on top. When is it not? Let's have a look then. I think it will rain in quali. I think you're right as well. Hello from Bangkok over there in Thailand. Welcome to you all in this session. We're going to have the live blog on in a second, it's just that it hasn't loaded up yet coming in. For this session, it takes a while for it to load up. And so far, so good then here for this FP2 session. Massimo Rivoli, the Aprilia Racing CEO, watching on in the garage. Ramia said he was taking positive complaints from the weekend so far, positive confirmations of Honda's performance this weekend. Ayagura, the 24-year-old from Japan, January 26, 2001 was when he was born. Sean's here. Pecco needs to keep it clean after his crash yesterday. Yep, dropped it turn 2 at an important time. Barely got through to automatically into Q2. Very much has to be very careful with what he's going to be dealing with here in this session. Let's check in with TNT then. What they say.
Honda, as the weekend goes on, you want to dial that down a little bit, don't you? In terms of your tyre life, that kind of thing. But we've seen a lot of people, particularly through the likes of turn 6, turn 11, smoke pouring off the rear of some of these bikes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Through here now, isn't it?
You probably get away. You wouldn't be able to get away with it for the sprint race, obviously half race distance. But I wouldn't have thought you'd get away with doing that for the main race. You'll end up with no tyre left.
On board we go with Fabio Quartararo. I think it was a good day at the office yesterday. Had a bit of a problem with his bike. It was something to do with the fuel tank. They were trying something out on it, but got back out there. Actually said he'd gone out to follow Bagnaia, never normally does it, and then Bagnaia went and crashed in turn 2, but still backed it up and did the lap by himself.
Yeah, 2 fast laps on the bounce, all by himself, no one as a marker. It did look good for Yamaha with Rins. Obviously, he did it with the toe. Jack Miller just missed out on a Q2 spot. He was so close to making it through into the top 10. Overall, it was probably for Fabio after a bit of a difficult weekend in Thailand. Didn't like the reinforced tyre that they had there in Thailand for the heat and temperatures, whereas you come back here, a more normal range of tyres from Michelin, and the Yamaha works again. And all 4 riders, Miguel Oliveira's still, as he does, slowly working his way forward. He's 11th in this session, so he's getting closer, but the other 3 Yamahas all looking really good.
And let's stay with the Japanese theme and the Hondas, because all manufacturers featured inside the top 10. Johan Zarco, the representative for Honda, but you look at his race pace. Bear in mind, he has won here twice in Moto2. He was on the podium, if you remember, right behind Cal Crutchlow when he won here back in 2018. He likes this place, and it just looks like he and the LCR Honda package are going great guns, and we cannot count them out of challenging for the podium.
No, not at all.
We couldn't say at any point last year.
No, not even close.
No, and Honda generally are looking quite strong coming into this weekend. As we get Zarco 138.443, Morbidelli jumping up into 2nd position as well. Then it's Miller, Bezzecchi, Marc Marquez has the top 5, but it's A strong time from Zarco. There's really an emphasis this weekend that we could be seeing Honda return. Let's have a look. Both Monster Energy Yamahas and the Honda automatically into Q2. Progression shown for those two manufacturers. Zarco's potential dark horse this weekend. Massively, he is. There is a... Oh, yellow flag, Sector 1. What's happened there then? Coming forwards. Who's down in that part of the track? Well, Franco Morbidelli's in there. I think it's Franco Morbidelli. He stopped on the tracker. So, has he gone down on the deck? Morbidelli, Sector 1. Yep, I think it is. Let's have a look where it's gone green now. Yep, crash, Franco Morbidelli. Flown up on our monitor system up here in the comms box. That'll be down. Oh, it's a biggie. He's okay, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, he's okay, and he's on the bike back into the pits. The scooter, that is. His actual motorcycle looks like the aero screen's been smashed up and the bike's gone down for a drag into the grass. So a bit of work to be done there, and he's only got now one bike ahead of qualifying. That's the risky run with FP2 so close to the main session. Medium front, soft rear tyres for majority. Marc Marquez though, medium front, medium rear. Is the only one on that compound? No, we've got Maverick Vinales doing the same. Medium front, medium rear. So there's a couple out there. So there's only two out there. That's changed it. 1 metre lap time cancelled due to the yellow flag. I saw that one coming. It had to adapt in order for it to work. Oh, still haven't got anything from our live blog. That'll come up. That'll come in soon anyway. 32 lap time cancelled for yellow flags as well. That's Lorenzo Salvadori. Mark and Brad, only riders on medium front and rear tyre. That cloud cover is getting insane over here. It's British. As a Brit, I'm going to say it's going to rain. It's dark clouds and there's heavier black clouds looming. Humidity's at 82%. They're saying right now for a chance of rain. Winds at 2 kilometres, now 4. Track and ground temperature keep changing. Alex Marquez, 138.090 goes to the top, but Zarco, Marquez and Acosta all looking stronger. Here comes Zarco out the last corner over the line. Zarco faster, 138.009. What a fascinating practice this is turning out to be for Honda fans. Marc Marquez only goes 3rd. Luca Marini goes 6th. Ferminado goes 4th. Sonkat Chancha into 19th position. And Acosta now, who was fastest in Sector 1 and 2. Lost a 10th in the Sector 3. Crosses the line, 2 tenths down in Sector 4. And will lose himself back in now to the laps. Yeah, bizarre couple forming right now on the circuit. Let's check in with TNT.
Early on at these strange racetracks that start the season.
Absolutely, you are so right there, because inevitably what happens by the time we get to Jerez, then there's the Jerez test. By that time, the factory teams are going to be trying a couple of little new parts. And do you know what? It might only be a 1/10 of a second they find, but that's if you're already on the limit and your opponents have found another 1/10 of a second, there's nothing you can do about it. So, and you're also right. These are strange tracks at the start of the season. They're not the normal. Like basically, when you go to
what do you mean by that then? What you know, to the layperson at home, what do you mean? What do we mean when we say strange, quirky venues?
So you've got this track, for example. It's the grip level changes. It's evolving. It doesn't get used a lot, so the grip level really increases throughout the weekend. That can throw riders off. But like, for example, when we get to Jerez, that is a track that all the riders know so well. They can literally, and I'm not even exaggerating, ride around with their eyes closed. They know every little bit, every secret of that track. When you come here once a year. Obviously, we didn't come here last year, for example. So it's a track where the rider can make the difference. It's not just automatic, and that's why what we're going to see in a bit when qualifying comes, we're going to see a lot of riders following each other, because if you've got a marker in front of you, it will really help.
Well, Digi said himself yesterday he was one of those. He was following Marquez, who in turn had Rins behind him. Rins leapt right from 20th up into the top positions. Digi went up into 2nd. And that there is an advantage to be gained, isn't there, from following? We heard Quartararo talk about it as Marquez. Alex lights up the rear.
Especially somewhere, that last sector where you're braking, there's no obvious brake marker because you're sort of braking in the middle of the track. It's a blind sector. It's really peculiar. If you've someone in front, what you can do, you can just gain a couple of bike lengths and it turns into a tenth of a second.
And then we're talking about Thailand, where we were. Again, another strange track where it's a bit of a drag strip, bit of a, it's quite a short track, really, quite an easy one to learn. But grip levels are always a bit strange. You take special tyres there. We go the same. Austin doesn't get used much, ripply, bumpy. The surface takes some getting used to there. And then we go to Qatar, which we always know has the liability for graining, for the sand to be brushed onto the track. And it's a beautiful, fast-flowing circuit in Qatar. But these are what we've got before we get into the meat of the season in Jerez.
Yeah, such a varied lineup of racetracks whenever you think of the challenges the riders and engineers have to face. And it is mostly dealing with the various grip scenarios and bumps, especially when we get to Texas. But it's going to shake things up before we get to the European leg. And then we'll understand a little more if the GP25 Ducati is going to take that next step. At the moment, it does look fairly even between the two. I think what we've seen from Alex Marquez, he's able to fight with Pecco on the older model, so that there's very little difference between them right now.
What Pecco actually said last night was he called it the 24.7. Having dubbed it the 24.9, I was there and there's a bit of a wry smile. He said, today I would say it's the 24.7. So obviously he feels like he's taking a bit of a step back. But then that's to go forward, isn't it? This is Frankie Morbidelli's
Is it
crash?
Turn 2, that?
Yeah,
in the background.
again.
Yeah. That's that crash we've seen.
So many times.
Yeah, so many times around here.
And there's a little flick of 3 and then you go onto the back straight. I thought it was going to be a bigger crash than it was, because the bike just looked, it must have just bounced a little bit.
Yeah, so it looks like Bagnaya's gone back to a setting that is more like what he ran last year. Said it feels more comfortable with it. It makes sense. He said he'd been struggling to get the bike stopped, which has always been like his strong point. It's always what he's so good at.
Yeah, that phase of the corner, isn't
Yeah.
it? Something Digi was actually saying about, obviously, the new bike as well. He said that's his strong part, is from entry to corner. He says, I'm not the latest breaker, but it's that corner entry bit. And he always was, actually, that carrying the pace down to the apex. And he said that's what he's actually, because he missed testing, he's having to work through it. He says he feels it gets quicker every lap, but clearly there's something in that bike, in the phase there, from, you've been on the brakes and then you're releasing them and trailing it down to the apex.
The last bit of deceleration to the apex is so critical in terms of the engine inertia, the engine brake electronics. Actually, chassis balance is a great deal to do with it too, and the feeling the rider gets from the front tyre. But marrying all those things together to get the optimum deceleration without too much slide from the rear, it takes a bit of figuring out, and that's the key to being able to extract the last little bit on these machines.
And riders back
and
to
it's
the
so
pits.
funny what Michael said. He's so right. So that's the team helping the rider. But Mark, for example, he wants less of that. He wants less engine braking. He wants to be able to control the bike.
Well, we saw yesterday when you were with Susie in the morning session, he just looked out of shape a lot, didn't he? Because it was giving him too much.
Exactly. He doesn't want too much engine braking. He wants to control the engine braking with his foot and his thumb, using basically the rear brake. And that's where he can use his skill and his talent.
Mark, you give me gloves and stuff.
What you still can't believe is that a computer is still not better than the rider. If you know, as in, surely the computer AI now can give you optimum engine braking per corner. It must be able to calculate what you need, but it can't, because each lap's different. You're doing something slightly different. You're a fraction wider. Your brain knows that. You adapt, and obviously everything you do at that speed, you're doing subconsciously. Mark's not thinking, oh, I'll apply a bit more rear pressure.
No,
it's happening.
Natural.
It's natural. I always say it's like playing an instrument. You know, if you're playing an instrument, you're not thinking, playing the piano well, you're not thinking what your fingers are doing. You just do it. Not that I can play an instrument.
You looked at me, what's your instrument? I would like to say, the fool, you play the fool. That's
very well.
Very well. I think you're more of a triangle man. I can see
That's
Michael
about the limit.
doing the full piano, organ, something like that, all the buttons and everything. And
I weren't bad with the tambourine.
to see you there along to the Happy Mondays.
Yeah, miraculous.
This is the sliding through turn 6. It's a lovely corner, isn't it, Michael? Out of the back straight, a kilometre long, 2/3 of a mile, should I say, down to turn 5, and then you've got to attack, haven't you, through that 6?
Yeah, you're building out of turn 5, short shifting up the gears, and then you go into the lean angle phase, and the rear wheel, it wants to step out, it wants to spin, and you have to be a little bit patient. Over 25 laps tomorrow, the riders will have to temper their aggression a little, but I think this afternoon over 12 we'll see them hanging it a little bit loose, because it helps in terms of the lap time. It helps you steer the bike, just finish the corner off and drive down the hill towards turn 7.
Riders heading out then onto the circuit for their second runs of the day before the session gets underway later for qualifying. I thought someone was locking up there. Did you hear that noise? That was a fan. That was one of the fans cheering down into turn 1. That was insane. I have no idea, by the way, where the live blog has disappeared to. That has totally vanished, which is unlike Crash to have an issue. We might have to switch to the MotoGP live blog for qualifying. Have to write it manually in the gap then, as that is the case. Luca Marini 138.5 at the moment, as he's been pounding around out there on the circuit. He's in 10th place. Fabio Quartararo, his first run, 13 lap front medium, 4 laps soft rear, and he's had a lap time cancelled out there. That's the 21 for a track limit warning. Franco Morbidelli already. Gearing up then. A bit sneezy today in the comms box. Must be a high pollen count outside. A few riders still trundling around. I've just noticed, by the way, looking down, that we're 8 subscribers away from 1,000 here on JBMotorsports 2. That's insane. Absolutely insane. Like the second channel's nearing that. So I want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the second channel, where we have all the practice action, and today, Tissot sprint action for MotoGP as well. I wonder if we'll get to 1,000 before the end of qualifying. That'll be fun. Morbidelli then, down to that first corner. Megan's joining me for quali. That would be live on the second channel as well here, and premiered on the main JB Motorsports channel, where tomorrow's racing action will be. So if you want to watch coverage of Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP, that's going to be on the main channel of JB Motorsports. Let's have a look at what it is doing across the lap.
Off the bike, you have to feel the controls and you have to be a little bit gentle, whereas a bike which Ducati looks maybe a little more planted over those bumps, you can trust the electronics, trust the chassis that it's not going to move, and you're gaining forward momentum, whereas when you lack that little bit of stability, then you perhaps have to be a little bit ginger when you lean on the throttle at this point. You hit this bump, you got to position everything, you ride a little bit tight over the bumps. But then, as I said, the trade-off is direction change. Because the bike's a little bit less stable, when you try and flick here on this part of the circuit, you change direction, the bike will just drop over the top a little bit more natural for you. So yeah, it's always a fine balance, and when you watch the Aprilia, it looks easier to change direction on those parts, but then just looks a little bit more flighty off of turn 11, and likewise off of turn 3 onto the back straight.
Looks like Marc Marquez leaving pit lane now. Who's that behind him? From the wide shot, maybe Fermin Albuquerque, was it? Yeah, it was. I don't like, I'm going to say it's Albuquerque's number, and I don't think it fits in with the Grassini colours. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Too busy.
Yeah.
A lot going on there.
There is a lot going on the Grassini bike, but yeah, you're right. And that fluorescent yellow just doesn't.
Whereas Alex
Marquez
looks quite good in it, all in keeping with it.
Looking good then as Mark under brakes into that back half of the track at turn number 3. It's a very similar corner actually to what we have at Thailand, so it's sort of a similar first sector. That's going to help Mark understand the bike a bit more. First sector is actually very similar to Thailand when you think about it, which it loops back around on itself, and that long straightaway. They did some work here in 2012 to add in that first sector where it loops back in on turn 1 and goes tight in on the right and swings back to a tight left, kink back to the right and down the straight for turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. But it used to be very similar to Thailand. Down to turn 1, 90-degree, right-hander, bang down the straight. MotoGP never raced that layout. We came here for the first time in 2014. been on and off for a couple of years. Last time we were properly racing here was 2 seasons ago. Marc Marquez hasn't raced it since 2019. The same. Well, that's the last time he finished a race, actually, I should say. Susie Perry hasn't been here either since 2019. So first time she's back after having the vaccination for dengue fever, I think it is. Whatever it is, Diego, I don't know. Diego, and well, that one sounds like it's Dora's cousins. Yeah, go Diego, go. Alex Marquez 137.795, 10th up on Zarco. That's your time marker. Still, I don't think we're going to see much improvement on these lap times in this session just because of how cool the track temperature actually is. And with old tyres, they're not going to put on a brand spanking new set to go into qualifying. We'll have that in Q1 and Q2, which is going to be very, very interesting. Miller's on the lap time.
We've got low tyres sitting overhead. There's Jack Miller. And he didn't look bad at all, did he, yesterday?
Looked really good, didn't he? Again, looks so comfortable on that Yamaha. Loves the front end of it. Feels like he can really sort of abuse the bike. He can ride it hard. And he sort of never felt comfortable on the KTM, did he? Obviously, he had that horrible vibration at the rear. He said there's nothing like that at all on the Yamaha. And kept almost enjoyed just riding the bike.
Yeah, kept saying he needed a new set of teeth, didn't he, every time he went out on it. Mentioning KTM, actually, sounds like they've done a few shifts with the balance of the bike, just getting it a bit more towards the front end, just have some feeling in the front end. It sounds like in Thailand, there's just nothing there.
It was surprising in Thailand how far off they were. The fact that they'd had a test there as well. Obviously, everybody tested there, but I don't know, you'd have just thought they would have been better. But
then it always feels like KTM are chucking part after part of bits at the bike during testing, and they never really happened a couple of years ago, was it last year? But never felt like they actually had a bike ready for the start of the season because they've tried so many things. Actually, have we got the bike we want for the start of the season? Whereas Ducati have just gone, oh, let's not risk it. Let's just stick to what we know.
Yeah, for sure. In 2023, that was the scenario with KTM, where they looked all at sea because they were testing so many components. They put the pieces of the puzzle together, and all of a sudden, Jack was in the mix right away at Portimao. I think it was at round 2. But yeah, it is difficult when you're still trying to develop a package during race weekends. You're bringing new parts, and it can confuse the base setting a little bit. You can miss a bit of your strength.
Oh, and Ayagura very much straight on down at turn 13 as well. So that was 339 kilometers an hour down to 51, and it took him 7.8 seconds. The front brake was just not stitching in together. So that Trackhouse, again, having a couple more issues than we thought was possible. Let's take a look at a replay. So he's following in the tracks of Alex Rins, and then in as well Fabio Di Giannantonio. Yeah, just as he turns in, the front was almost dropping. Did well not to throw it down. He could feel the bike was slipping underneath him on the brake. Picks some dust on the rear tyre as well. So 5:55 to go then in this session. Alex Marquez is your fastest man from Johan Zarco, Marc Marquez, Fabio Di Giannantonio and Pedro Acosta. Bagnaia watching on. Way down at the moment is him in the champion. Where is he? He's down in 13th place in the timing tower. Oliveira and him, the only two in the pit lane. Everybody else is out there on the track, ready to go. Qualifying will be fun. That's coming up shortly. I'm so excited for this. Qualifying in Argentina is going to be energetic. Just a reminder, if you're watching on JBMotorsports 2, we are going to be switching streams to the qualifying broadcast. So just a reminder, you'll have to go into the channel and select the qualifying stream. Hopefully you all make the trip over there. Mark and Brad only riders of mediums. Ray Hand saying Fabio Quartararo 20. To give you an update where he is at the moment, Quartararo. 9th fastest, 1:38.414. Out there on the lap time. He's on 14 lap-old front mediums and 9 lap-old softs. Red Bull KTM Tech 3 in the worst position at the moment among the teams. I would agree there. Binden and, yeah, well, it's Tech 3 with that of Maverick Vinales and Enea Bastianini. And to be fair, even throw in the main lot of KTMs. because you've got one factory of Pedro Costa up in fifth. But look at Brad Binder, stuck down in 17th position. Not really the interesting most situation out there. 4 minutes to go, drone camera came down. I thought there was something flying up in the air. And it caught out Marc Marquez. So, yeah, they both sat up on the laptop there. Mark's following the back, but the drone camera from Dorna was in the eye line of the riders, and they both have to lift up and go wide at one. So that's dropped them a 1/10 of a second. Well, I've heard of TV direction being poor, but I've never heard of it literally being so poor it affects the riders. Sean says, in qualifying, both Red Bulls automatically into Q2. The factory riders. But I guarantee you, Binder will qualify towards the back of that Q2. So, what was it, 4th row of the grid? 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, 4th row of the grid, which is 10, 11, and 12 positions. As they fire in once more. It's 3.5 to go. Alex Marquez and Marc Marquez now at the toppers. 138.7, 882. As we ride on board with Bagnaia. Just holding that line carefully with 3 minutes to go. Checking with TNT for the last 2 minutes.
Being able to dial in to those electronics.
As opposed to being in a satellite team.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, I think that, as in Honda, maybe. But we've always, how much have we heard about how good Ducati are with their electronics, and that's one of their big parts.
Yeah, that's being able to react so quickly during a session, because then that saves you so much time. If you can try something during a session, give a bit of feedback, and then it's done. Whereas a lot of the times you're not happy with, let's say, your engine braking, and that's something that has to be, you know, messed around with and fettled for the next session.
Good shot, that was from the drone. Looking at, that's turn 2 there. This is a lovely part of the racetrack as well. Accelerating through the kink at 3. Little hollow in the middle of the corner
that
there.
crest there. The bike goes light.
Yeah, it's a difficult part of the circuit to get it right. We've got the blog working now down below us. It's become available. Marc Marquez in P2, looking strong. This track has been a bit of a curse track for Pecco so far in his Premier Class career. It has indeed. Oh, hello. That was, who's that? Fermin Aldeguer running out of road on the lap time. And 1,000 subscribers on JBMotorsports 2 has just flashed up on my screen. I would like to say thank you to everybody who has got us to this milestone on the second channel. JBMotorsports 2 is now monetized, 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, everybody. That means so much. To do it once on YouTube was an honor. To do it the second time is an absolute privilege for all of you motorsport fans out there. And I hope you enjoy the coverage we bring you across the networks as well. That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you very, very, very much. So into the final 60 seconds then of this second practice. Marc Marquez will come across the line. And is it going to be any better? No, it's a 138.526, so slightly off the pace there. 7/10 down on Alex's best lap time. Bagnaia and him on the last ones now. We'll have some practice starts, so it's not completely over. I agree with you, Sean. Perfect time to get it before qualifying. Gives us all a bit of a boost going forward. 137, 705, Davide Tardozzi and Gigi Delineo talking together on a replay here at super slow-mo cameras. And Davide Tardozzi going in super slow motion. It was quite funny to see. They are the two men at the heart of Ducati's domination. They have worked so hard over the years to bring that bike back, to listen to the riders, to get the best riders that can do this machinery. For the last couple of years, it has been Ducati fever. The same can be said in the world superbikes, but do you know what that means? Ducati have got the best road bike and they've got the best prototype bike for Grand Prix racing. Ducati are, at this time in the world, for the first time in their history, dominant in motorcycle racing. 3/10 down. Bagnaia's done a 1:14.877, so it's a slight improvement. He's got now 3/10 down. But this is, of course, effectively a useless session. It's important to get out there and get some information for the bike, especially in mixed conditions. It's what it could be here at Termas. Duria Hondo. The rain can come at any moment. over the line then. And Mark, 138.315. Bagnaia 7th, 138.396 as well. And with that, Alex Marquez will take the flag. Digenterio and Acosta as well. The rest in the pits will take the flag. That's the end of free practice 2 here. It's Alex Marquez from Marc Marquez, Johan Sarko, Fabio Digenterio, Pedro Acosta, Firmin Aldeguer, Pecco Bagnaia, Marco Bezzecchi, Jack Miller, Fabio Quartararo, Juan Mir, Franco Morbidelli, Alex Rins, Luca Marini, Ayagura, Miguel Oliveira, Brad Binder goes into the mix as well. From Raul Fernandez, Maverick Vinales, Enea Bassini, Somkat Trancha, Lorenzo Salvadori goes in 22nd position. All geared up then and ready to go. You can join us on the next side where we will now transfer over to our qualifying stream. Those of you watching on Twitch don't have to do a thing. Those who are on YouTube, click to the channel and you will find the qualifying stream as the practice starts getting underway. A bit of smoke coming off of Pecco Bagnaia's front tyre. Let's just take a look at Marc Marquez's launch. He's kept that right to the ground as he dropped the clutch and pulled from the back. Good start, good lap times as well. Fantastic second practice then. We'll be back shortly as we will gear up to all of the action for qualifying here for the Grand Prix of Argentina at Termas de Rio Hondo. We'll see you shortly as Alex Marquez tops a 137.795.